Hi everybody, it's Tom. I'm recording this on September 10th, 2011, one day before the 10th anniversary of the World Trade Center attacks. What has happened since then? What do people think? Do they think that did the terrorists win? Does the security that we now have at airports constitute the terrorists winning? To an extent, I think so. Israel has had attacks and everything else for years and years and years, and has never, had to go through all the trouble that we do just to simply get on a plane and go somewhere. They get asked multiple interlocking questions about, where are you going, what are you doing, then, something that's going to happen there, like say the person responds that they're going to see a Kiss concert, and, you ask someone who actually is going to see a Kiss concert, say, what do you think of the idea that Gene Simmons no longer, wears makeup or whatever? Man, pretty amazing that he's still doing concerts for as long as he's been doing them. And if you answer, or you look like you don't know the answer to why they would say something about his longevity, or the fact that they don't wear makeup, or the fact that Kiss ever wore makeup, then they'd know that something was fishy with your story, and they'd ask different questions, and then they might send you through to, more rigorous testing. They have to, because they actually have real terrorist threats. America doesn't really have any domestic terrorist threats anymore, other than from, local people who are angry at, say having to go through airport security and have their entire body exposed to, air traffic controllers who, are just, basically corporatized TSA employees who, they're just employees, but still, they're not qualified to make these assessments, many of them. They go through a little bit of training, and then they're put at the hands of a scanner, and, people aren't too amused with that. Thus, you have people in, hot girls or whatever, or females that go up there wearing a bikini, in protest, and there's companies that make underwear that have ink that reacts to the X-ray machines and leaves, messages like "Don't touch my junk" or "Protected by Fourth Amendment," or they actually have the text of the Fourth Amendment. If only the politicians who enact this, and this goes out to, I think her name's Janet Napolitano, if only you'd read the Constitution and understand that when someone goes through an airport security checkpoint, they are entitled to Fourth Amendment protection, as in unlawful search and seizure, and the right to be secure in their person unless they are deemed to be a terrorist. And how can you accuse 70-year-old Maud Wilkerson of Long Island, whatever, of being a terrorist? Maybe she is to her bridge partners or whatever, but there's no reason to force her to go through the humiliation of terror scanning. If whatever the secret is you have to patrol the borders, you have to control the borders. Arizona should not have to be controlling its own illegal immigrant problem because the Fed won't step in and do something about it, but they can, pat their cronies in the, Rapiscan company, which is surprisingly close to RapeScan, for, by giving them cushy contracts with no competition and things like that for a machine that's potentially lethal or carcinogenic at least. What have we learned as a society after 9/11? I don't know that we've actually learned anything, and it's really sad. But, here's to keeping the good hope that somebody will come along and see this stuff and, go to the election to become a candidate on a platform of, we don't have to be fascist to our own people in order to combat terrorism. The secret to combating terrorism is not to invite it. How many people have attacked Canada? Why has the CN Tower not been, dropped to rubble? I'll tell you why. Because Canada doesn't go around peeing in other people's punch bowls. It's just that simple. I considered moving to Canada, but their government thinks one way and their populace thinks another, and the twain shall never meet. Just these are the things. Why are these things not talked about? Why is the real culprit of 9/11 not spoken about or not investigated? I call for a reopening of the investigation of 9/11. What actually happened? Explain the micropelletized trinitrotoluamide, or TNT, that was found in the dust of the rubble after the explosion. Explain why a 90-plus story building collapsed neatly into its footprint if all it was done was hit with, a couple hundred tons of aluminum with jet fuel in it, which jet fuel is like diesel fuel and doesn't burn hot enough to do the damage that was done to the towers. I could go into that one too. But, there's an awful lot of questions that remain unanswered. And those in power and those who stand as candidates don't want anything to do with getting those questions answered. And it's really disturbing. So frankly, if we don't do something about these issues that arose out of 9/11, if we don't do something about the number one news agency that everybody thinks about when they think of a terrible news agency, the leadership of that agency snooping in some poor dead underage girl's phone for story material because they've got nothing better to do, that sort of thing needs to be dealt with, or the terrorists have won. And that's just sad.